right, so good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday and happy Navaratri. We are in the middle of the 9 days celebrating the goddess. So it started Tuesday night. And the way Navaratri kind of works is that it's this evolving of our Shakti. So not that our Shakti or our internal, spiritual energy isn't always in this state of flow, but it's an evolving of our awareness of it, our relationship to it. And that aspect of the whole concept or the whole reality of Shakti has been really what's drawing me this cycle around, is not so much the energy of the goddess herself. She's always everything, right? She's always everything that she is. But our relationship to that everythingness is what fluctuates and what changes and evolves and cycles. So looking at our relationship to those absolute energies is what we're doing in yoga all the time. The difference I feel with the goddess is that the goddess is you, right? She's not separate from you because she's Shakti and you're Shakti. Male or female, doesn't matter. It's your Shakti. So this is really about a relationship to the absolute parts of yourself, right? To your absolute parts that are courageous, the absolute parts of you that are steadfast, the absolute parts of you that are abundant, the absolute parts of you that are, ecstatic and enlivened and enlightened already. Right. So these are the aspects of the goddess that we, quote, move through in Navaratri. We go from Durga, which is this energy of lifting yourself up and removing, detaching yourself from the things that are just struggle without meaning, right? Or finding meaning in the things that you are constantly in conflict with, coming to peace with it. And then Lakshmi, which is tonight is the last night of Lakshmi, dedicated to Lakshmi, is that abundance or the freedom that flows into that space when we are no longer clinging. Right? We're no longer grabbing onto things to have a fight with, right? We're no longer grabbing onto the world that way. And we start to experience things just as what they are, gifts. Everything that's brought to you is a gift, no matter what it looks like. And then what we begin tomorrow night is we move into the energy of Saraswati, which is this higher awareness of being able to see the whole world through spiritual eyes, right? Being able to see everything through that vision of the goddess that says, this is poetry in motion. Right? This whole world is poetry in motion, and you're a part of it, and you're the writer of it, and you're the hearer of it, and you're in the middle of it, and you're all of those things all together. And that's the reality of the goddess. Right? So we're looking at the relationship that we have to these parts of ourselves and where we try to push it away, because that's what happens. In our minds, we say, I can't possibly be that, or I don't want it to look that way, or I can't possibly keep that up. So I push it away. I'm not courageous. I'm not abundant. Things don't work out well for me, right? I'm not enlightened. I have no ability to get past my mind, no ability, right? I'm stuck in it. And so Navaratri is this opportunity to reconnect to parts of yourselves, reconnect to your relationship with yourself in a way where you start to take those negative thoughts, or you start to take those negative affirmations about what you are and what you aren't, and you throw them out the window. Or you at least evolve them to a point where you now can look at yourself and see that you are poetry in motion, right? A comfortable seat if you're not there already, letting the eyes close. As you start to just come into your breath, you're feeling the whole length of the spine. So your breath is dropping all the way into the belly, which means that you're dropping your weight into your pelvis. And then maybe by dropping your weight into your pelvis, your shoulders relax a little. And by relaxing your shoulders, maybe you also relax your jaw. You let your eyes soften. So you're allowing the breath to flow through you. You're a vessel. You're not the one who is making it happen, but you're allowing it to come in. You're allowing it to flow out. Now that you've softened everything on your inhale, you're going to bring an awareness to your pelvic floor, so low in the pelvis. So as you inhale, you squeeze and lift all the way from the very base of your tailbone, internally, squeeze and lift like you're trying to pull your pubis bone all the way up to your belly button. And then the exhale, you release, soft belly. And the inhale, again, you're squeezing and lifting like there's kind of like a fountain that you're trying to draw up the spine. And then the exhale, you soften and release. So keep doing that and begin to repeat Sat Nam. So as you inhale, Sat, draw everything up. Exhale, Nam, let everything go. Drawing everything in, Sat. Exhaling everything out, Nam. And keep going. So Sat Nam is truth is my name, truth is my identity. Navaratri is starting to come to an awareness of what is true about you. Not what you've always thought about yourself that's very limited, that's based on your experience, but what is true about you that is universally and always true, the absolute truth. And the absolute truth is that you have a capacity for love and courage and abundance and brilliance that you do not tap because you think it's not there. And if you have a thought that you're like, oh, that's not me, think again. This is the human mind. That there is a capacity to experience who you are in an absolute way, unconditioned way. And this is the energy of the goddess as she brings us back to that, the absolute version of yourself. Continue to breathe with that Sat Nam. And even if you're not sure if you're doing the pelvic floor thing right, that's okay. Just draw the energy up in your mind from the base of your spine as high up as it will go. So you imagine it rising all the way up to the top of the head and then releasing. And keep your shoulders relaxed. And whichever aspect of the goddess speaks to you the most clearly, connect to that. Is it Durga, the warrior? Or Lakshmi, the one that is sweet and is always looking for the most beautiful aspects of life? Who always wants to give the best, have the best? Or is it Saraswati that really just wants to live in that space where everything is etheric, where there's a meaning beyond the surface, and that there's a clear connection between your physical self and your divine self, spiritual self? Whatever aspect of the goddess speaks to you clearly, you feel yourself as that. Not some dumbed down version of it, but as that. You are absolute. Couple more breaths. Sat Nam. Believing in your absolute self. Next exhale, when you let the pelvic floor go, release the mantra, release the breath. Bring your hands together in front of your heart, rub your palms. Good, and then steady the palms together, bringing the thumbs to your heart center, lift the heart up into your thumbs. We'll open sound of Om, deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. Then come forward onto your backs. Shavasana. I'm kidding. It's not Shavasana. If that happens, you know there's something very wrong. Something's wrong with me if that's happening. Come onto your backs, please. Bend your knees. Good. Plant your feet underneath your hips like you would for bridge pose. And then you're breathing in and out of bridge. So as you press into your feet, you inhale, you lift your hips, you lift your heart up off the floor. So peel your spine up off the floor. Take your arms up overhead, reaching for the floor behind you. Good. And then as you exhale, you release the spine, release the arms. So roll back down the spine, release the arms back alongside the torso. And then keep doing that. Inhale, rising up, taking the arms up alongside your ears. And then exhaling, releasing the hips down, taking the arms down. Good. Just moving in and out of bridge. So you press into the feet fully. And it doesn't matter if you're going into super high bridges or low bridges, as you're rolling up and down the spine. That's the point here. So don't have it be I'm pushing my hips up and down. But I'm actually articulating, finding as much of my spine as I can, and I'm letting the breath really move me so that as long as I'm inhaling, I'm rising up. And then as soon as the exhale starts, I'm starting to release, even if I didn't get to that full pinnacle of how high I can push my hips. Good. think one of my favorite non-mythical stories of someone's experience with the goddess is Ramakrishna, I believe. And he's in a goddess temple in India. And I honestly can't remember if he was the one tending the temple or if he was visiting. I don't remember in the version of the story. But the visitor who arrives, whether it's Ramakrishna or not, asked to, go sit in front of the Devi altar, the goddess altar, because he has so many questions. He needs guidance, he needs answers. And, the priest at the temple says, oh, absolutely, go ask your questions. And so he approaches the altar, and as he's approaching, there's this feeling, right, in the room. There's this feeling in front of the altar that's just this overwhelming feeling of love. And it's so overwhelming, it sort of seeps in. And as he's sitting in front of the altar, he just gets lost in it. And so after a bit of time, he gets up and he leaves, he steps out, and the priest says, well, did you get your answers? Are you happy with the results? Did the goddess give you answers? And he's like, oh, I forgot to ask my questions. Release your hips back down to the floor, please. Next time you're there, stay. And then take your right ankle over your left thigh. Good. Lift your left shin parallel to the floor. Reach through to hold that thigh, flexing the feet. Good. And breathing in. And as you exhale, pull that left thigh in towards your belly, any amount more. So just drawing the legs deeply in. Keep your low back pressed down to the floor. And then as you inhale, release, and let the leg kind of move away from the belly a little bit more. And then exhale, draw the knees back in. Good. And then soften the legs back away from the belly. And then one more time, exhaling, drawing the legs in deeply. Keep the low belly engaged, pressing down to the low back. Good. And then slowly release, please. Nice job. Step that left foot down to the floor. Good. Take your right leg up to the sky. So left foot is flat on the floor, knee bent, right leg is straight. Hold behind the thigh again. Good. Press out through that heel. Press the thigh back against your hands. Scoop into that low belly. So from your abdominals, try and anchor the lowest part of your sacrum down to the floor. So the hands are pulling the thigh in towards your belly, but the thigh is trying to push away from your belly. So again, tractioning, making a little bit more space in the lower back from internal engagement. One more breath, deep breath in. Optional, as you exhale, walk your hands up towards your heel, lift your shoulders up off the floor. Keep your low back anchored. Don't let that left knee fall out. Good. And then as you lower back down, take the leg with you, any amount. Good. Any amount might be literally less than 1/4 of an inch. That's fine. It's early in the morning. Good. Hug that knee back in towards your chest, please. Straighten the left leg out on the floor. Right knee is in towards your chest. And then take that knee across your body, spinal twist. Take the right arm out wide to the right or the arm up alongside the ear. And then I want you to focus again, lower belly, draw that lower belly in and feel like you are trying to push your butt backwards into a wall behind you. Good. So as you push your butt back, again, it's almost like you're folding into or hollowing into your belly. Take some of the intensity out of yanking on your bones, puts them in a little bit better alignment. Good. And then slowly come back to center, please. Hug that right knee in. As you hug it in, press your shin back against your hand. So again, that little bit of a internal engagement. So as you press your shin away, push down, scoop your right low belly, press down to that side of your sacrum. Good. And then inhaling the breath, exhale again, optional, lift the shoulders like you're going to bring your forehead towards that knee. And then double optional is to really draw that left thigh, the straight leg, in towards the hip socket. Float your left leg up off the floor at a couple inches. Good. Hollowing your belly. Nice, Lena. Nice, everybody in the room. Really good. And then slowly release, please. Good. Step that right foot down to the floor, knee bent. Take your left ankle over your right thigh. Good. This is all for Dana because she was complaining about her back. Bring your right shin parallel to the floor. Good. Holding that right thigh, flexing the feet. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, draw the knees in towards the belly. As you draw in, press down to the lowest part of your back. Flex those feet. And then as you inhale, you let the legs move away from the belly. And then as you exhale, you draw them all the way in. Good. As deep as it is reasonable for you to go, draw them in. And then inhaling, letting the legs move away. And then one more time, exhaling, pull those legs in towards your belly, but press down through the lower spine. Good. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release, please, taking that left foot down to the floor. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. So right foot is flat. Sorry, I said it wrong. Right foot down to the floor. Bring your left knee in towards your chest. Right foot is down, left knee is in. Good. Hold behind the thigh, please, and then extend that heel up towards the ceiling. Good. Again, you're pressing the thigh into your hand. So don't focus on how can I get my thigh closer to my belly, is you want the lowest part of your spine anchored to the floor. So if your tail is curling up, find where your tail is rooting down, your sacrum is rooting down. Whatever angle the leg happens to be, is that's where it is. Press the thigh against your hands. Good. Reach up through that inner heel, through the ankle. That's it. So it's not the knee that has to straighten, as you're just lengthening. Beautiful. And then a deep breath in, optional on the exhale, walk your hands up towards the ankle, lift the shoulders. Again, curling into the belly. So it's an engagement, not a collapsing. Good. And then as you release the shoulders back down to the floor, bring the leg with you, any amount, but keep anchoring the lowest part of your spine. Nice, Anju. Good, Marlene. Good, Meredith. Nice, Allison. Good. And then bring that knee back in towards your chest, please. Extend the right leg down to the floor. Come into spinal twist. Left knee comes across your body. Left arm goes wide or up alongside the ear. Good. And then you could hear, if the whole pressing your butt back into a wall thing didn't make sense to you on the first side, is you could take your left hand to your sacrum, to your lower back, and then actively kind of fold from your thigh creases and push your butt back into your hand. Good. So it might feel like by doing that, you're engaging the abdominals a little bit more. You're drawing the rib cage in. Help support the pelvis while you're in the twist. Good. Nice, Heidi. And then slowly come on back to center, please. Squeeze that left knee back in towards your chest. Good. And then press the shin back into the hand. So again, you have that feeling of really engaging, almost like you're trying to find that feeling of your left leg being in a lunge, because you're pushing into your arms and you're feeling your thigh move away from your belly. Good. And then optional on your exhale, lift the shoulders up off the floor, like you're bringing your forehead up to meet that knee. Keep your shoulders relaxed away from your ears. So it's all the abdominals that have to curl. And then the right thigh pulls into the hip socket, float that leg up off the floor. Good. Don't get tense. Hollow into the belly. Nice. And then slowly release. Good job, everybody. Hug both knees in towards your chest. Good. Roll forward and back on your spine. Good. Roll yourself all the way up to sit. And then come forward onto hands and knees. Downward facing dog. Right, so in that story, the continuation of that story of Ramakrishna in this Devi temple is that the seeker, right, he does this a couple of times where he's like, oh, I can't believe I forgot to ask my question. So he goes back in because the priest is like, well, go. Like, that's why you're here. Go ask. So he goes back in and the same thing happens. He gets close to the altar and he feels this wave of just loving presence and he gets so lost in it. Same thing. After a while, he gets up and leaves and the priest is like, well, he's like, I forgot. I didn't ask my questions. I got so distracted by this feeling that I forgot my questions. Take your right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. And then step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Good. Squeeze your feet towards each other. Inhale the arms up to the sky, high lunge. And then bend the back knee a lot. So your back knee is bent almost as much as the front. Pull that left thigh forward, squeeze your right hip back. So it should feel like you actually swivel your hips just a little bit so that you get that squared action, right? Good, you guys. Take your arms out wide. Cactus arms, both knees are still bent. Good. Twist towards your right, please. As you twist, navel to spine, draw your ribs back. Nice, Diane. Good, Melody. Nice, Harriet. Awesome, you guys. Beautiful. And then come all the way back to center, please. Straighten the back thigh, stretch the arms alongside your ears, reach forward, warrior three, step up onto that right thigh, left leg comes parallel to the floor, navel draws in. Good, so from the middle of your rib cage, from your lower rib cage, hollow in and press up. Awesome, nice, Beth. Good, Rhonda, good, Andra. Beautiful, you guys, step all the way back, high lunge. Good. Take the hands back behind you, interlace the fingers, and then bow inside the front thigh. Take the arms up and over any amount. Nice, Carla. Good, Jessica. Good, Anastasia. Again, that little swivel of your hips. So even here, your left hip is spinning forward and your right hip is spinning back. Good. So don't put all the weight on that front foot. Yeah. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good, you guys. Both hands come inside the front foot. Circles with that right hip, hip circles. So you can drop the back knee if you choose or keep it lifted. It is your choice. And so the third time, right, he comes out and he says, or the second time, he says, I forgot to ask my questions again. The priest is like, what are you even doing? Get in there, go ask your questions, right? You came all this way. What are you doing? So he goes back in and he sits in front of the altar. Same thing happens, this overwhelming love. And he forgets why he's there. And he gets up and he leaves. And the priest says, well, and finally he says, you know what? I realize the questions don't matter. Come back to stillness, please. Drop that back knee to the floor. Good. Inhale, both arms to the sky. Anjaneyasana, squeezing the feet towards each other. So a deep breath in. And then an exhale, release the hands down to the floor, either framing the foot or both hands inside. Round your back in Anjaneyasana. You can use blocks underneath the hands if you feel like you don't have enough space. Good. So the lunge didn't change. You're just rounding your back. Good. And then again, inhale, lift the arms up alongside the ears, lengthening the spine. Almost the same as that bridge pose variation, right? Articulating the spine. And then exhale, release the hands down to the floor, round into your back. Let your pelvis move forward so your knee is still over the ankle or slightly forward. Good. One more time. Keep that low belly engaged as you take the arms up to the sky so you're not pushing forward through your ribs. And then reach your heart a little higher. Lean back just a tiny bit. So any amount back bend. Draw your armpits away from your hips, but keep that low belly lifted. Yeah. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good. Lift that back knee. Downward facing dog. Find your breath. Right. So the hope is that this is the experience that we will have with the goddess every time, is that all of our questions about ourselves, am I enough? Can I do this? Is it possible? What's the meaning of my life? What am I even supposed to do with this? Is that in her presence that disappears and there's just the absolute feeling of knowing that you're divine, the absolute feeling of knowing that you cannot fail. That's Durga. The absolute feeling that everything that you could possibly need will be given to you. That's Lakshmi. The absolute feeling that you are never without the power of God, Saraswati. Left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. And it's the places in us that have trouble believing those things that are the questions. So in Navaratri, we remind ourselves they don't matter. Step that left foot forward between the hands, or they don't matter as much as the love does. Squeeze your feet together, take your arms up alongside your ears, high lunge. Bend your back knee a lot. Pull that right thigh forward, move your weight back. So your hips move slightly back, your shoulders move slightly back. Good, squeeze the feet towards each other. And then take your arms out wide, cactus arms. Good, squeeze that space behind your heart, but keep those inner elbows hollowing forward, spinning forward. And then twist to your left, please, belly towards that front thigh. Nice, Linda. Good, Debbie. Good, Heidi, bend that back knee a little more. Good, elbows up, Meredith. Awesome, you guys. And then come back to center, please stretch the arms to straighten that back thigh, lean forward, torso parallels the floor. Step up, warrior three, right thigh comes parallel to the floor as you stack that left hip on your left heel. Arms can be out in front of you or reaching behind you, or I see hands at heart center with some of you. That's beautiful too. Good. But it's from that internal place of your pelvis that you're lifting. So your middle ribs draw up and then lift your sacrum to the sky. That's it. Good. Nice, Harriet. Step all the way back to high lunge, please. Good. Take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers at the low spine. Deep breath in. Lift your armpits. And then as you exhale, bow forward. Keep that feeling of drawing your armpits long away from your hips. Good. Squeeze that left butt cheek back and in. Yeah, there you go, Joanne. Nice, you guys. One more breath. Don't drop your head. There you go. As every head goes up, release the hands down to the floor. Good. Both hands inside the front foot. Please circle that left hip. You can drop the back knee if you choose. Nice. Right, you've all heard, I'm sure, if not, you've heard some variation of where you set your attention. That's the thing that's going to grow and expand. So every time you drop your mind into those places where you are full of doubt, full of questions, full of all of the limitations that you're sure are true or that you're afraid are true, is that that's what becomes amplified. So Navaratri is an opportunity to set your attention so fully on the goddess herself, the absolutes, that those questions disappear. You forget that you have them. Not that they never mattered, but they, in the moment, you forget, so that you can really live in that absoluteness. Come back to stillness, please. Good. Drop that back knee if it's still up. Anjaneyasana. Squeeze the front heel and the back knee towards each other. Inhale the arms to the sky. Good. Deep breath in. Pull the armpits up away from the hips. Good. Nice, Lauren. And then release the hands down to the floor. Round your back. So again, your hands can be on blocks or both hands inside the front foot. If it feels like you're too close to yourself, round. Good. And then squeezing the legs again. Inhale the arms back up. Good. Nice, Anne. And then release the hands back down. Round your back. Exhale. Good. Keeping the hips forward of that back knee. One more time. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Anjaneyasana. Good. And then sternum lifts even higher. Let your armpits float back and then draw your ears back in line with your arms. And then move your armpits back again. And then move your ears back and move your armpits back. Move your ears back and keep lifting your heart higher and higher and higher and higher until your head finds your back heel. One day, right? Good. Navel to spine. Come all the way back up. Release the hands. Good job, you guys. Lift that back knee. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Come forward to plank pose, please. Upward push up. Lower down slow to your belly. Good. Rise up, cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest. Exhale, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Inhale the arms up to the sky, high lunge. I haven't taught like this in a while. I've been doing too many child's pose lately. I hope you're enjoying this. Good. Take your hands to your heart center, please. And then lean forward, warrior three. So step up onto that right heel, left leg parallels the floor. You are absolute everything, absolute courage, absolute abundance, absolute enlightenment. Start to lean forward like you're going to bring your forehead to the floor. Keep your hands at your heart. Keep your armpits drawing back, your shoulders drawing together. Lean forward, lean forward, lean forward. You can always bend that standing knee. Keep leaning, keep leaning, keep leaning. And at the last second, let your hands drop down to the floor or block, standing split. Good. Bend your left knee, that's the leg in the air. Kick your heel in towards your butt and then lift that thigh a little higher. Press your heel straight up towards the ceiling. Good. And then straighten the leg again, standing split. Beautiful. Drop your head towards your shin. Kick that left heel a little higher, left inner thigh a little higher. Good. I know. One more breath, drop. Any doubts you have about yourself, drop. Awesome. And then go ahead and step yourself back. Nice long lunge. Good. Inhale the arms back up to the sky, high lunge. Hands to heart center. Prayer twist, left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Press the elbow against the knee against the elbow. And curl into your belly again. So you feel that widening of your lower back. So draw your ribs in so you feel the widening behind your heart as well. And then lift your heart up towards your thumbs, but stay hollow. Right? Lesson of the goddess, right? Live your life completely, but stay free of those conditions that think that you have to be one way in order to live your life completely. Good. Stretch the arms out to letter T, right hand up to the sky, left hand down to the floor. Sorry, still in the twist, if that wasn't clear. Good. Beautiful. And then release both hands down to the floor, unwind your twist, step back, downward facing dog. All right, drop to your knees, child pose. Put your forehead in front of the goddess and say, my questions don't matter. Just save me from this crazy lady in the yoga class.
You were right. It was Anjaneyasana.
Anjaneyasana today. Yep. It's my favorite thing to hear. You were right. Breathe deeply into your lower spine. Right, the lower spine is that energetically, this is where our reservoir of Shakti, our Kundalini energy lies, right? Coiled like a serpent. Think of it as like a battery, right? Because we call it in reserve, right? It's not active, it's the way it's said. But it can't not be active because it's the energy that creates your life. Walk your torso to the right, please, over your right thigh. So it's one of those myths we tell ourselves, right? That, oh, my Shakti's not awake. My Kundalini is not awake. I can't use it. You're breathing, aren't you? You're using it. You're embodied, aren't you? You're using it. But if it's dispersed into all of our doubts, our questions, our fears, our conditions, then it feels like it's all separated. It's all different pieces. Come back to center, walk to your left. So what we call that Kundalini rising is that we pull all of that energy together into one cohesive flow. We pull it away from all of our conditions and restrictions and limitations, and we allow it to bring us into that absolute state. But it can only do that because you already are that absolute state. It doesn't create something that isn't already there. It's just switching the switch. So instead of seeing everything as separate, you suddenly can't see it as anything except absolute whole. That's the Kundalini rising. So we encourage that energy to flow in that way. We dissolve our own boundaries. That's the joke, is it's not the goddess taking you away. It's you giving yourself back to the goddess. Your relationship to yourself. Come back to center, please. So who are you willing to give yourself away to? Someone who has loving presence. Walk yourself back up to hands and knees. Come back downward facing dog. Lucky for you, you only have 2 legs, so you only have to do any standing sequence twice. Left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Step that foot forward. Never thought of it that way, right? Step your left foot between the hands, lunge. Inhale the arms up, high lunge. And then bring the hands to your heart center, please. Lean the chest forward. So you're coming into warrior 3 with the hands at the heart. So step off of that right foot, left hip stacks on top of left heel, right thigh parallels the floor. Good. Round up into your rib cage, press up. Nice, nice, nice. A lot of nice warrior 3s in the room here. Good. And then start to lean forward like you're going to bring your forehead to the floor, but don't collapse your chest. Keep your armpits wide. Nice, Melody. Good, Carla. Nice, Sarah. Good, Anastasia. Good, Allison. At the last second, nice, Andra. Release your hands to the floor or block, standing split. Keep those right toes pointed down towards the floor. So again, that little swivel of your hip. So your right hip moves down and forward. Good. And then bend that lifted knee. So right knee bends. Kick your heel up towards the ceiling. So you're pressing straight up. Knee is pointing down. Good. And you're feeling that scoop of your belly as you press that heel up. Don't stop pressing it up. Good. And then straighten the leg again, pressing out through the heel. Drop your forehead towards your standing shin and kick that right inner thigh a little higher. Good. Keep the feet flexed. So you're continuing to reach through the long edges of your legs. You never stop. Good. Navel to spine. It's not the strength of your legs here. It's the integrity of your core. How are you supporting your spine? One more breath. Kick that thigh higher. Nice. And then step it all the way back. Nice long lunge, please. Inhale the arms back up to the sky. High lunge. Good. You're breathing deeper now than you did in the beginning, right? Because you're getting smarter. You're like, if I don't breathe deeper and slower, I'm going to be in trouble. Hands at your heart center. Prayer twist, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Good. Again, pressing the elbow against the knee against the elbow. Feel those armpits drawing towards each other. And then you're lifting your heart up towards your thumbs. Nice. Good, you guys. And then stretch the arms to straight, right fingertips reaching for the floor, left fingertips reaching for the sky. If you can keep that elbow hooked, keep it hooked. If not, if the hand is coming inside the foot, that's fine. Just find your open twist. Beautiful. Nice, Melody. Really nice, Meredith. Good, Jessica. Slowly release, place both hands to the floor. Nice, everybody. Awesome. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Come forward to plank pose, upward push up. Lower down slow to your belly. Rise up, cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Good. Exhale, back down to your belly, please. Rest for a moment, forehead to the floor. You can make a little pillow with your hands or turn one cheek to the side. Becoming aware of what aspect of the goddess speaks to you the most clearly. So in some traditions, it's said that Navaratri is really just 9 nights to Durga, nobody else. You don't change the names or the forms. But it's a little bit of a trick, right? Because in Durga, there is Lakshmi and Saraswati and Kali and every other form. And at the same time, Durga is an emanation of Parvati. So any entry into the goddess is all of them. So any name you've ever heard, even in other traditions, it's all the same energy. So what aspect of that absoluteness speaks to you the most clearly? That's where you start. And you will allow that to bring you into the absoluteness of everything that you are. Turn your cheek to the other side if you have your cheek turned one way. And again, it doesn't matter, male or female. This is the energy that animates and creates embodiment, that creates life. So whatever your body looks like is you are running off of the energy of the goddess. You are the energy of the goddess. So it's whatever aspect speaks to you. And if you don't know any of the names, do a random internet search and see what comes up. Right? We laugh and say that when we really do ask our questions into the absolute, into the divine, is that the answers that come to you, even through a Google search, will be specific. It's bizarre, but try it. Start contemplating, holding in your mind, I'd like to meet the aspect of the goddess that's for me right now. You'll get a random letter in the mail from someone named Kali. You know, that's how it works. Take one more breath, breathing into your whole spine, your whole self, absolute. If that word continues to elude you, what does it even mean? Meditate on the word absolute. And then come on up onto your forearms, please. Sphinx pose. So the elbows are underneath the shoulders, fingers pointing straight ahead. Press down through the length of your forearms. So not just weight on the elbows, but pressing down through the inner edges of the wrists. Good. And then drag back on the arms as though you are going to crawl across the floor so that you have that full lifting and widening of your chest. Good. And then drop your chin towards your chest, round into your back. Good. Pull through the lower ribs, through the armpits. And then again, inhaling, lifting the chest forward and up like you're going to crawl across the floor. Drag back on the arms. And then exhale, curl and round again, dropping your forehead in or dropping your chin in, round. Good. And inhale, lift up, lengthen, drag back on the hand. So you're not pushing the ribs towards the floor here. You're keeping the low ribs engaged, but you're lifting and widening the ribs, the chest. And then exhale one more time, curl and round, drop your chin towards your chest. Stay there in that rounded position. Tuck your toes, please. Press into your knees just a little bit so that you pop your butt up first. So I want your pelvis to lift up off the floor. So as your butt lifts just a little bit, draw the front edge of your pelvic bones towards your ribs so it's a strong spine. And then lift the knees, come into that forearm plank position. Good. Nice, you guys. So a connection between your ribs and your pelvic bones. And then lift the back of your throat again if you're still looking in towards your chest. Good. Drag back on those upper arms. I know this is a challenging position for the shoulders. One more breath. And then release the knees back to the floor, please. Point the toes back behind you. Lift the chest forward and up, Sphinx pose. Good. And then release back to your belly, please. Forehead to the floor. Reach back behind you for your feet. So bend both knees, kick your heels in. Reach for the feet or the ankles. Good. Knees stay pointing straight back behind the hips. So don't let them splay wide. Good. And then you're drawing those heels down towards your butt and keeping them there. Keeping the tops of your thighs pressing down to the floor. Draw your low rib cage in and then bend your elbows up towards the ceiling, lifting just head, neck, and chest. Good. Little frog variation. So as you draw those heels down and in, you're bending the elbows. It's an awkward position. Getting into your shoulders. Lift head, neck, and chest. Front ribs draw in. Good. Keep those thighs down. Beautiful. I mean, I can't see half of you, but I imagine what you're doing is beautiful. And then slowly release. The people in the room are doing it great. Good. Release the legs, please. Beautiful. Again, forehead to the floor. You can kick those knees back in, separate your feet a little wider, and just let your feet rock from side to side, or your shins rock from side to side. Yeah, sometimes I just have to imagine what you're doing when you're doing things on the floor because I can't see you. It's fine. In my imagination, you're probably doing the pose much more magnificently than you feel that you're doing. Notice I said the way that you feel that you're doing it, not that you're actually doing it. Come back to stillness, please. Good. Relax the feet to the floor. Please walk your hands back in, press back up to hands and knees. Good. Do a little cat and cow so that you move the spine back into maybe a little bit more of an equal place. Nice. And then slowly bring yourself back to stillness, please. Good. Take your right arm out wide to the right. Slide that arm behind your left wrist. Right shoulder comes to the floor. Turn your gaze and walk that left arm straight ahead. Good. Threading the needle. Try to keep your weight equally distributed on your shins. And again, a little reminder of the lowest part of your belly scoops up. So you're not letting your belly drop onto your thighs here. You actually want to draw your rib cage in so you keep the spine really supported. And it's that twisting of the arms and the stability of the pelvis that makes this pose a pose. So as you keep reaching through that right arm and you keep reaching through your left arm into the twist, creating space in the shoulders and the spine. Good. And then slowly release, come all the way back up to hands and knees. Move yourself to the other side. Left arm comes wide. Slide that arm behind the right wrist. Walk the right arm forward straight towards the top of your mat. Doesn't have to come straight, right? If having the elbow bent a little bit, my suggestion is not to have the elbow dropped on the floor, but to have the elbow lifted and bent is a great place to really work with the connection of your arm bone into the shoulder socket. So don't worry about having the arm straight, but you do want there to be the ability for your left armpit, your left chest to stack on top of the right. Good. A soft lift of the low belly and of the middle ribs. And breathe in, being absolute. In this position, any position, you are absolute. That never changes. And that's what the human mind has trouble wrapping itself around, is that everything changes, but that never changes. You are always absolute. Good. Unwind yourself. Come back to center, please. Hands and knees. Tuck the toes, lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. Good. And then plant the right hand, move it just a little bit more towards, straight towards underneath your forehead, just a little bit. And then planting that right hand, take your left hand underneath you to reach for your right ankle or shin. So a twisting downward facing dog. Good. So you're reaching underneath you for your outer right ankle or shin. Good. Draw that right armpit up in towards the chest or in towards the back. Awesome. Release and switch, please. Take that left hand to the floor, again, slightly more towards the center, and then reaching the right hand back and underneath you for the left ankle or shin. Keep your heels softening towards the floor. Keep your hips nice and high. And then really lengthen your spine. So you're pulling that right armpit away from your right hip. Really nice. Good. Everybody in the room, really beautiful. And then slowly release, please. Both hands to the floor. Deep breath in. Good. Step or jump your feet to the top of your mat. Take both legs to straight. Uttanasana. Good. And then bring the feet together, please. Inner heels and big toes to touch. Come up on your tippy toes. Use blocks underneath the hands if you need. And then bend your knees out wide. Drop your hips like a little frog squat. So dropping your hips down towards your heels. Stay up on your tippy toes. Deep breath in. Lift your chest. And then as you exhale, drop your head, take your butt back to the sky, straighten the legs, squeezing the knees together, butt to the sky. Good. Still on your tippy toes if you can. Good. And then bend your knees wide again, back to that little frog squat, lifting your chest. Good. And then dropping the head, straightening the legs, pull up, press your hips to the sky, squeeze the inner seams of the legs together. One more time, bend your knees out wide, lift your chest. So it's one more active one. You're going to have to come down here one more time. And then straighten the legs, press your hips to the sky. Grateful this is not Kundalini. We'd be doing 52 of these. Squeeze the legs. Good. And then one more time, bend your knees out wide, come back to that little squat, stay. Let your heels start to reach for the floor. So like you're just letting your heels reach as much as they can towards the floor. And walk your torso slightly forward between the knees. So it's like a little forward fold in your squat. And hug your inner thighs against your outer ribs. And then optional here, if you want to go for the little arm bind, is that you keep your shoulders nice and low between the knees, take your upper arms to the front of your shins, and you're wrapping your arms around the front of your shins to hold hands behind your ankles. Yep. So you got to drop your shoulders nice and low, wrap the arms around the front of the shins, hold underneath your butt behind the ankles. Yep. And if this makes no sense to you whatsoever, stay where you are. It doesn't matter. Good. Just let the heels soften. Feel the roundness, the length of your spine, shoulders away from the ears. Good. And then release the hands if they're bound. Gracefully come on down to sit. Don't drop yourself like a cannonball. Beautiful. Take the feet forward in front of you. Knees bent. I know. Right ankle over left thigh. Yep, seated, right ankle over left thigh. Good, fingertips just behind your hips. Press into your hands, lift your belly forward towards your legs. Keep your butt on the floor. Yep, so it's like a seated pigeon variation. Good, yep, so the more vertical you get, the closer you move your belly towards your thighs. Keep your feet flexed here. The more you're gonna feel this through your back, through those same muscles that you work in pigeon. The other option, if you want to make it more intense, is you draw your left heel closer in towards your butt cheek. If that means that you're leaning all the way back behind your tailbone, you've lost the integrity of your pelvis. So you got to lean forward towards the front edge of your sit bones. You got to wiggle your butt back. Long spine. Relax your shoulders. Good. So if you're really open here, you can basically have your right heel or your left heel really close in towards your butt and be sitting up pretty much vertical. Good. There you go. You got it, Emily. Just make sure your butt stays on the floor. Good. Keep your feet flexed. Again, you make this as intense as you want it to be physically, and you make it as intense as you want it to be mentally. If you make it a big deal, it'll be a big deal. Story of your life. You can make anything a big deal if you want. You can also de-escalate any moment of your life if you want. And God says you are absolute. How you approach your fights, how you approach your abundance, how you approach your enlightenment is entirely up to you. But you are absolute. You have everything that you need. Learn to use it. One more deep breath. Good. And then slowly release. Please stretching your left leg straight out in front of you. Good. Stretch both legs out. That's going to feel good. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Wiggle your legs just a little bit before you press those heels down into the floor. So as you flex your feet, you dig your heels down, like you're hooking your heels into the floor. I want you to soften your knees just a little bit. Good. And then press your butt back more. Yep. So the knees stay soft, but your butt wiggles back. Then take your forward fold and keep that feeling that you have hooked your feet into the floor. Good. That little feeling of dragging back on the legs and pressing back through the pelvis is going to change again where the stretch goes in terms of your hamstring attachments. Good. So if your knees are a little bit more bent than usual, that's great, but keep reaching through your pelvis. Nice, you guys. Beautiful. Slowly walk yourself back up, please. Good. Bend both knees again, plant the feet. And again, make sure that as you're setting this up, that you're not leaning all the way back onto the fleshy part of your butt. If you can't feel the edge of your sit bones, then you've gone back too far. You're going to miss some of the hip opening here. Left ankle crosses over right thigh. Flex the foot. And again, up to you as you are leaning forward, taking your belly towards your thighs and keep trying to draw your inner thighs down and wide. Keep up on that edge of your sit bones. Find your stretch.
If you can't really get this leg to bend, keeping it a little straight is okay.
Yeah. You feel something through that left leg, right? Yep. And you're good. Nice, you guys. Yeah, if there's a situation where that right leg that's supporting you right now cannot be in that bent position, you could totally have that leg straight and just reach for the shin, right? Sort of like the baby cradle thing we do, and just hold the leg up with your hands. You could totally do that. Good. Keep your butt pressing down, belly lifted, chest up. You don't have room or you have no desire to do pigeon the usual way. Do this. Good. Did all your questions disappear yet? No? A couple more breaths in the pose. They're dissolving. I know they are.
Yes, I have no questions.
I have no questions. Whatever you need me to say to let me out. Good. Then slowly release, please. Stretching the legs out in front of you. Good. Give them a little bit of a wiggle, a little bit of a shake. And then take your legs out nice and wide. Upavista Konasana. Good. Then reaching right hand for your right ankle, left hand for left ankle, or feet, whatever you can reach, right? So leaning forward just to reach for something solid on the legs. Again, digging down like you're hooking your heels into the floor and then pulling the thigh bones up and into the hip socket. So that might mean that your knees are a little bit bent. That's fine, but feet are awake. And then lift your chest a little higher so you have a long spine. Pull the arms into the shoulder socket. Good. And then keep the legs drawing in, keep the arms drawing in, but bend your elbows and bring your chest forward into your forward fold. Good. Holding on to something solid. So it's, again, it's the upper body working and opening to help draw the lower body deeper in. Good. Right, that image that we have of the Kundalini rising is that it rises up to the space of the third eye where the Shiva energy, the absolute, is always sitting in stillness. And when the two meet is then that's the realization that there only is this absolute reality. And that's always what you've been. So we feel that rising up through the spine. We use the upper body. It's not like the lower body and the upper body are separate. Walk yourself all the way back up, please. Nice. Turn your chest towards your right thigh. So one hand on either side of that right leg. Good. Deep breath in. And then walk yourself into your forward fold over the right thigh. Watching that your left toes don't fall into some crazy angle because you're no longer looking at them. Good. And again, it doesn't matter what you can reach. What matters is that you are touching something solid that gives you a reference where you can maybe twist a little deeper into your waistline. Good. Or you can actually use your hands on the floor to drag back, traction. That's it. And your poses are just tools. They're not realities unto themselves. We could say that they are, but really they're tools to bring you into awareness of your absolute self. Good. Walk yourself all the way back up to center, please. Good. Move over to the left leg, one hand on either side of the left thigh. Sit up nice and tall, so again, a long spine. And then walk yourself straight ahead, forward fold over the left leg, watching that the right toes don't go somewhere crazy. Good. And turning from your waist, so that top of your right hip or the top of your right waist is spinning towards the left. So you're moving your left belly wider. Good. Keep your right butt cheek down on the floor. Good, Lauren. Nice, Alana. Nice, Ralph. Nice, Lena. Nice, Rachel. Nice, Mark. Nice, Dana. Make sure I say all of your names. Good, you guys. Take one more breath, going deeper into that stretch. And then let yourself walk all the way back up. Nice job. Take the legs back towards each other, please. Come on back onto your backs. Good. Bend the knees, plant your feet. Roll up and down, bridge pose. Just a little bit more. As you inhale, lift your hips, stretch your arms up alongside your ears. As you exhale, roll back down the spine, release the arms. Good. It's a very similar thing, what we do when we need to warm up because the body is in whatever position it's sort of stuck in, to what we do when we are, quote, cooling down. Because they're both the same thing, as you're trying to put the body back into a greater state of balance, equilibrium, equality, so that it can move functionally. And energetically, that's what we're doing with the yoga practice, is we're trying to put our inner world into a state where the Shakti can flow functionally. Prana can flow functionally. Good. So it's taking a look at your relationship to what is absolute and all the places where you have put things in the way of that, in front of that. All the places where you deny it. And then can you let yourself be absorbed in the lovingness of that absolute state, that it's not a state of perfection that you have to live up to. It's just what you are. And if you would just admit it, it wouldn't be so hard to attain. You could just feel it. Good. Next time your hips find the floor, let them rest there. Feeling the breath in the belly, in the ribs, in the chest. Feeling the floor beneath you, solid and immovable. And the air around you. Open space. And the space that is within, that's infinite. If you go looking for the edges of it, really looking for the edges of it internally, is you won't be able to find it. You can find the edges of bits and pieces, but you cannot find the end of you. Our challenge is that we never really go looking. We meditate once in a while. It's like opening a closet door and taking a peek and being like, ah, there's stuff in there. Slam. We're taking a peek out of the window and being like, oh, there's sky. Close. Navaratri is throw the window open and hang your head out and see what happens. Leave the closet door open and dance with the skeletons. So in any way, any version that feels like it moves you, do that these next 3-4 nights. Draw your knees in towards your chest, please. Good. Happy baby. Draw your knees wide. Reach for your ankles or your feet. Good. Stacking the heels on top of the knees. Again, focusing on the lower belly, drawing that lower spine down towards the floor. So you're widening through your sacrum. Good. Nice, Debbie. Nice, Emily. Good, Diane. Again, some of you, I'm guessing at what you're doing, but I'm sure it's great. Beautiful, you guys. Bring the knees back together, please. Cross the right thigh on top of the left, separating your feet, reaching for your ankles or your shins. Gomukhasana legs. And again, as you draw the knees in towards your belly, draw the belly in and press down through your lower back. So you're folding the knees in as much as you can and then reaching long into the lower back. Good. Release and switch the legs, please. Take the other leg on top. Good. Again, separating the feet, reaching for the ankles or the shins, folding your knees in towards your belly. So you really want to get that angle of the legs with the pelvis if you can. You're breathing wide into your lower back. Good. And then slowly unwind the legs. Squeeze the knees in towards your chest, please. Good. Scoot your hips over to the left, please. Drop your knees to the right. Spinal twist. Again, with the feeling that you're keeping the knees stacked on top of each other and letting your knees really be in line, because that's going to help keep the hip points in a level place. So you have to make sure you let your knees go far enough over that happens. So prioritize what your legs are doing and then adjust your shoulders. Good. Knees level with your hips or slightly higher, again, because that's going to relieve pressure on the lower back. And then maybe feel like you draw your low belly in, push your butt backwards into that invisible wall again. You know, if you're like, but now my shoulder's nowhere near the floor. So stretching your spine, it'll get there one day. Good. Come back to center, please. Scoot your hips over to the right, drop the knees to the left. Same thing, stacking the knees in line with the hips or in line with the waist, slightly higher. And the right arm can reach back behind you or up alongside the ear. Again, if your shoulder is forever away from the floor, reach alongside your ear instead and just get really into the stretch of your armpit to your hip. Remember the primary energy of Navaratri is Durga, that says pay attention to the way that you use your resources, how you approach your conflicts, how much you are in love with struggle for the sake of struggle. If I'm not working hard, or if I'm not struggling, I must not be working hard enough. Nonsense. You are absolute. So you simply do what needs to be done, whether it's easy or it's hard, you do it. No need for struggle. Slowly bring yourself back to center, please. Again, hugging the knees in towards your chest. Forehead up to meet your knees, curl. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Bye, Andy. Good. And then slowly release, please. Extending the legs out in front of you, arms alongside you. Settling for your Shavasana. You want any props underneath the knees. Make sure you use them. It's a nice support for if there's lower back stuff. Either a bolster, blanket, pillow. And as you rest in Shavasana, maybe let yourself have the visualization of stepping in front of that goddess altar, whatever it looks like. It can be to a specific form or a non-specific form. If you don't know a name, you can just say goddess or God, whatever appeals to you. And can you sit in front of that altar and dissolve your questions? Empty yourself of them. And just absorb this love that flows back and forth between you and the source of everything. Begin to breathe in Sat Nam. And inhaling the sound Sat all the way up to your third eye, exhaling Nam. You don't have to do the pelvic floor work, but bring back into your mind Sat Nam. Truth is my identity, absolute truth. Truth of who I am is that I am absolute. All of my questions, my doubts, my fears cannot change that. So I can explore, I can learn what it means to be absolute over and over and over again. I can forget what it means and try again. I can make what feels like mistakes and try again. But it does not change the truth of what you are, is you are absolute. Begin to let the body stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw the knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And take a moment before you come back to an upright seated position. And bringing the palms together. Keep the pinky fingers, thumbs, and heels of the hands touching. Separate the middle 3 fingers and palms so you have like a little open cup or a little open flower. Rest that at the heart. Call this a lotus mudra. I've been feeling that what we describe as the process of Navaratri is like the growing of the lotus, is that we start in that place where we see our own darkness under the water. And Durga is the energy that is necessary to lift you up, right? To pull yourself from that space, to reach for the light, even if it feels like it's far away. You reach for your strength, you reach for your steadfastness, your courage. And then Lakshmi is you've risen above the water, but you're still tightly curled into that bud. So she's the energy of flowing open, of letting go of your restrictions, your boundaries, so that you can be everything, have everything, endless giving and endless receiving. And then that full flowering is Saraswati, where there's just the ecstasy of being everything that you are, open to the sun, and feeling that to be alive is a really great thing. And to be alive as what you are is the best thing. To be in the moment where you are is the best thing. And so you can feel that that act of opening is you realizing that who and what you are is absolute, absolute perfection. And so we're always in that state of rising into that realization. And we're also always eternally in that state of being already realized. And that's the goddess, is that when you fall into the love, you know that you are absolute. And if you fall out of it, then you're simply just rising back in. You're in the process, the flow of it. So whatever speaks to you deeply about this concept, whatever absolute means to you, meditate on it, become it, and let your questions disappear. Keep the hands here, or bring the palms together for the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Palms come together, sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week until I see you again. Again, tonight's last night for Lakshmi, and then it's 3 nights of Saraswati, or, you know, whoever the heck you want. Go to whoever you want. But enjoy your celebration, enjoy your Shakti. We will see you soon.
Thank you.
If you're staying for meditation, we'll start again at 11. You don't have to scoot off. You can stay on, or I'll see you in a few minutes if you're coming back.
Thank you, Veronica. Beautiful
Welcome.
class.
Thanks, Veronica.
Thank you.
It's great.